This is Ed Koch. And we're going to do something different at this moment. Rather than a review of film, which I will do subsequently, I'm going to review Roman Polanski and what occurred when he was arrested by the Swiss when he went recently to Switzerland, and they're now going to decide whether they will extradite him to the United States. Roman Polanski committed a terrible crime before he fled the United States and went to France. And I want to read the description of the crime, which was in a New York Times column by Jim Dwyer, who's a very good columnist. And he wrote, "In March 1977, Mr. Polanski, 43 at the time, invited a 13-year-old to pose for pictures in a magazine he was guest editing. He took her to Jack Nicholson's house on Mulholland Drive and gave her champagne and a quaalude. He knew she was 13. He called her mother to tell her they were running late. Then he had oral and vaginal sex with the girl. After learning that she was not on the pill, he penetrated her anally." End quote. I read it because, one, it was shocking to read that description in the New York Times, which is a family newspaper, so they believed that the world ought to know what the facts are, because most people don't know those details. This guy was outrageous and belongs in jail. Now, what was equally outrageous was the defense of Polanski by the Hollywood crowd and the comparable crowd in France and elsewhere in the world. The elites, the people who think they're better than the rest of us. And they include people who we like. Woody Allen, Whoopi Goldberg, and there are lots of others. And they think they can say and do anything and get away with it. But the reaction was so strong. They would never have expected a New York Times editorial denouncing what they stood for and denouncing Roman Polanski, or a Washington Post editorial doing the same, or a Ed Koch commentary. And I took great pleasure in pointing out how outrageous these people, like Whoopi Goldberg, who I know, I like her humor. She said it wasn't rape, meaning that it was statutory rape, which is terrible. A child cannot give consent. And it's no defense to say that the child did give consent. That's why it's called statutory rape. But this was not simply statutory rape. This was the abuse, carnal abuse of Roman Polanski of this child, who did not consent. Even if she had, it would not be an excuse. But she did not consent. She protested. And of course, it was ultimately reported to the police by both the child and the mother of the child. Polanski now is sitting in a Swiss jail. I believe his efforts to secure bail while pending the decision of the Swiss government on extradition has been turned down. I'm not sure about that, but I believe that to be correct. I hope he rots in jail. Rots. The fact that you're an artist, an accomplished artist, doesn't give you the right to violate not only the law, but in this case, violate a child. So I give him a minus.